Hello everyone. In this video we are going to talk about variables, the different types, and how to differentiate them. So a variable is just a property that can take on many values. These values can be either quantitative or qualitative. A quantitative variable consists of numerical data that is either measured or counted. When we hear the words quantitative and numerical, we should think quantities or numbers. We can further split quantitative variables into either discrete or continuous. Discrete variables can only take on finite numeric values. Let's say, for example, our variable is the number of dogs in a park. We can observe or count that there are 5 dogs, 8 dogs, or even 100 dogs, but we cannot find that there are 5.5 dogs. When we think about it, it doesn't make sense to have 0.5 dogs. Therefore, our variable can only take on whole numbers and finite numeric values. In contrast, continuous variables can take on infinite numeric values. Let's say our variable is weight. Then weight can be 15 pounds, 15.5 pounds, or 15.5, 6, 7, 8 pounds, and so on. As a result, our variable can take on an infinite number of numeric values. To further illustrate this, let's take a look at a number line. We can see that our discrete values can actually only take on certain numbers on the number line, while our continuous variable can be any number on the whole interval. Now to summarize, quantitative variables are numerical and can be measured or calculated. Discrete variables are countable and can only be a finite number of numerical values. Continuous variables are measurable and can be an infinite number of values. A qualitative variable has categorical data that represents groups or categories that may or may not have meaningful order. When we hear the words qualitative or categorical, we should think of categories, which can either be numbers, but are usually words. Now, qualitative variables can either be nominal or ordinal. Nominal variables have no inherent order in their categories. Let's say our variable is eye color. Then our categories can be brown, blue, or green. These categories have no inherent order, since we cannot say that brown is greater than blue or blue is greater than green. This doesn't really make sense. In contrast, ordinal variables have categories that are ordered. Let's say our variable is eye size, then our categories can be big or small. These categories have an inherent order where big is greater than small. An easy way to determine if your variable is quantitative or qualitative is to see if arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, or even averaging make sense. If we go back to our weight variable, we can see that addition makes sense. Let's say something weighs 15 pounds. We can add 3 pounds to this and get 18 pounds. Adding 3 results in a meaningful interpretation. If we look at our qualitative variable eye color, if we add 3 to brown, then we get brown plus 3. This doesn't really have a meaningful interpretation, so we can say that this variable is indeed qualitative. Now to summarize, qualitative variables can either be nominal, where there is no order in the categories, or ordinal, where the categories are ordered. Here are a couple questions for practice. Take a moment to determine whether a variable is quantitative or qualitative. If it is quantitative, determine if it's discrete or continuous. And if it's qualitative, determine if it's nominal or ordinal. So number 1, what type of variable is temperature? We first want to ask ourselves, are we dealing with measurements and counts or categories? We see that temperature is a measurement, so it is quantitative. Now, is it discrete or continuous? We know that we can have a temperature of, let's say, 50 degrees. We can also have 50.1 or 50.11 and so on. As a result, our variable is continuous since it can take on an infinite number of values. Number 2, what type of variable are customer satisfaction ratings, where the categories are unsatisfied, neutral, and satisfied? We see here that we're dealing mainly with categories, so this is qualitative. Now, is the variable nominal or ordinal? We first want to check if the categories have a logical ordering or ranking. And it does. We can say that neutral is less than satisfied, and unsatisfied is less than neutral. So this is ordinal. Number 3, what type of variable is the number of students in a class? We see that we can actually count the number of students in a class and measure it with a precise number. So this is quantitative. Is it discrete or continuous? We see that we can't really have half a student or part of a student, so we're only using whole numbers and certain values. So it's discrete. Finally, this can be a little tricky, but what type of variable is phone number? Don't be confused by numbers, as a phone number is just a category. So each person has a unique category for their phone number. So it's qualitative. Now there's no inherent ordering to a phone number. We can't exactly say that one phone number is greater than the other, so it's nominal. One way to check that this is true is to see if we can take an average or add a certain number to a phone number and see if it makes sense. So thinking about it, an average of two phone numbers doesn't really produce a meaningful result. For example, you might get a decimal, and that doesn't really make sense. So therefore, it's qualitative. Thank you for watching, and if you learned something new, make sure to subscribe.